Somewhere in your kitchen right now, there is a seed so small you could hold 1,000 of them in the palm of your hand. It looks unremarkable. It seems insignificant. And yet, inside that tiny seed is a concentration of biological compounds so potent that cardiovascular researchers have described it as one of the most meaningful nutritional discoveries in the last half century. This seed has been demonstrated in clinical research to directly stimulate the production of nitric oxide, the signaling molecule that instructs your blood vessels to open, soften, and allow blood to move freely to every organ, muscle, and tissue in your body. When nitric oxide levels are insufficient, blood vessels constrict, circulation becomes sluggish, energy declines, mental sharpness fades, and virtually every system in your body begins operating below its capacity, quietly, gradually, without any single dramatic warning sign. What makes this even more remarkable is that this is not some rare botanical extract sourced from a remote part of the world. It is not a pharmaceutical compound developed in a laboratory. It is affordable, widely available, and sitting on the shelf of every ordinary grocery store right now. Most people walk past it without the slightest idea of what it can do for their circulation and their vitality. That changes today. I'm Dr. Lauren Hayes. In this video, I'm going to identify exactly which seed I'm referring to, explain the precise biological mechanism behind how it supports blood vessel function, and then walk you through several additional seeds that work through complementary pathways to create a circulatory support system that is genuinely comprehensive. The final seed I'll share has a mechanism so specific and unusual that the majority of practicing physicians have never encountered it in any clinical training. Stay with me through the entire video. That one is worth waiting for. Let's begin with the seed at the center of this entire conversation, flaxseed. If I could recommend only one seed for vascular health and blood flow support for the remainder of my career, this would be it. The research base is extensive. The results across studies are consistent and the mechanisms are well understood. Flax seeds are the most concentrated plant source of alpha-linolenic acid on the planet. Alpha-linolenic acid is a plant-derived omega-3 fatty acid. While it differs structurally from the marine omega-3s found in fish oil, the body can partially convert it into the longer chain forms, EPA and DHA, that are most closely associated with cardiovascular benefit. But alpha-linolenic acid also has direct, independent effects on blood vessel function that operate entirely outside of this conversion pathway. Research has demonstrated that alpha-linolenic acid reduces inflammatory activity in endothelial cells, the cells that line the interior walls of your blood vessels, and supports their capacity to produce nitric oxide reliably and efficiently. But alpha-linolenic acid is only one part of the flaxseed story. What genuinely sets flaxseed apart from virtually every other food in existence is its concentration of compounds called lignans. Flax seeds contain between 75 and 800 times more lignans than any other commonly consumed plant food. That is not a marginal difference. That represents an entirely different category of concentration. Lignans are polyphenolic compounds that are transformed by your gut bacteria into bioactive metabolites, specifically enterolactone and enterodiol. These metabolites have been studied extensively for their cardiovascular effects, and the findings are consistently compelling. Enterolactone has demonstrated direct vasodilatory properties, meaning it supports the relaxation and widening of blood vessels. It also carries significant antioxidant activity that shields nitric oxide from destruction by free radicals, and it modulates the inflammatory pathways that contribute to endothelial dysfunction over time. Multiple large-scale observational studies have found that individuals with higher blood concentrations of enterolactone show meaningfully better markers of cardiovascular health and vascular responsiveness. Flax seeds have also been examined in randomized controlled clinical trials specifically targeting blood pressure, and the outcomes have been notable. One landmark trial found that daily consumption of ground flaxseed produced reductions in systolic blood pressure among the largest ever documented for a dietary intervention, attributed to the combined action of alpha-linolenic acid, lignans, and the fiber content all working in concert. Now, here is a practical detail that is absolutely critical and frequently overlooked. Whole flax seeds pass through the digestive system largely intact. Their outer coating is resistant enough to digestive enzymes that eating them whole results in minimal absorption of their beneficial compounds. To access the full therapeutic value of flax seeds, they must be ground. Freshly ground is ideal because the omega-3 fatty acids are delicate and begin oxidizing once the seed is opened. A small dedicated coffee grinder works perfectly. Grind a few days' supply at a time, store it in an airtight container in the refrigerator, and use 1 to 2 tablespoons daily. Ground flaxseed integrates easily into smoothies, yogurt, oatmeal, salad dressings, or simply stirred into a glass of water. The flavor is mild and slightly nutty, and it complements almost any food without being intrusive. The second seed brings an entirely different set of circulatory benefits, which is precisely what makes it such a valuable complement to flaxseed. Pumpkin seeds are among the most concentrated food sources of magnesium available. Magnesium is a mineral that is fundamentally essential for healthy blood vessel function, yet research consistently demonstrates that a substantial portion of the adult population is deficient in it. Magnesium plays a direct role in vascular relaxation. It functions as a natural calcium channel blocker, the same mechanism targeted by an entire category of prescription blood pressure medications. When magnesium is present in adequate amounts, calcium entry into the smooth muscle cells of blood vessel walls is properly regulated, allowing those muscles to relax and the vessels to dilate. When magnesium is insufficient, calcium enters those smooth muscle cells without adequate regulation, triggering excessive contraction and constriction of the vessel walls. Blood flow diminishes, blood pressure rises, circulation to peripheral tissues deteriorates. A quarter cup of pumpkin seeds provides close to half the daily recommended magnesium intake for an adult. That is a remarkable concentration from a small amount of food. But pumpkin seeds offer considerably more than magnesium alone. They are exceptionally rich in zinc, a mineral required for hundreds of enzymatic processes throughout the body, including several directly involved in cardiovascular function. Zinc is essential for the activity of superoxide dismutase, one of the body's most powerful internally produced antioxidant enzymes. This enzyme neutralizes superoxide radicals, the specific free radicals most responsible for destroying nitric oxide in the blood vessel environment. By supporting superoxide dismutase activity, the zinc in pumpkin seeds helps preserve your nitric oxide supply from oxidative degradation, allowing more of it to reach vascular smooth muscle and promote dilation. Pumpkin seeds also contain meaningful amounts of phytosterols, particularly beta-sitosterol, which has demonstrated anti-inflammatory effects on vascular tissue and helps reduce the absorption of dietary cholesterol, both of which contribute to healthier, more responsive blood vessels over time. Most people discard watermelon seeds reflexively, with no awareness that these small seeds contain a compound that directly feeds the body's nitric oxide production pathway at its most fundamental level. Watermelon seeds are rich in the amino acid citrulline. Citrulline is a direct precursor to arginine, which is itself the direct precursor to nitric oxide. The biological sequence is straightforward. Citrulline consumed from food is converted by the kidneys into arginine, which then becomes available to the enzyme endothelial nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme that manufactures nitric oxide from arginine as its raw material. By supplying the body with abundant citrulline, watermelon seeds ensure that this production pathway has a steady, reliable supply of its essential substrate. What is particularly compelling about citrulline is that it is actually more effective at elevating blood arginine levels than arginine supplementation taken directly. This appears paradoxical at first, but the explanation is straightforward. When arginine is consumed directly, a significant portion is broken down by enzymes in the gut and liver before it reaches the bloodstream, what is called first-pass metabolism. Citrulline bypasses this process entirely, converting to arginine in the kidneys and producing higher, more sustained blood arginine levels as a result. This means watermelon seeds, through their citrulline content, represent an exceptionally efficient strategy for supporting the body's nitric oxide production capacity. Watermelon seeds can be roasted and lightly seasoned as a snack, added to trail mixes, or ground into a powder and incorporated into smoothies and other preparations. Sesame seeds have been consumed across Asian, Middle Eastern, and African cultures for thousands of years, and they contain a class of compounds called sesame lignans, the most notable of which is sesamin, that produce effects on cardiovascular health that are genuinely distinctive. Sesamin has been shown to reduce oxidative stress in blood vessel walls by enhancing the activity of the body's internal antioxidant defense systems, including superoxide dismutase and catalase. Rather than simply providing antioxidant compounds directly, sesamin strengthens the body's own capacity to generate antioxidant protection on an ongoing basis. This is a fundamentally different and more durable form of vascular protection. Clinical studies have also demonstrated that sesamin supports favorable blood lipid profiles and reduces the oxidation of LDL cholesterol particles. Oxidized LDL is particularly damaging to the endothelium because it triggers inflammatory responses and promotes the formation of arterial deposits that narrow vessels and restrict flow. By reducing LDL oxidation, sesame helps preserve the structural and functional integrity of the blood vessel lining. Sesame seeds provide meaningful amounts of calcium, copper, and manganese, all of which contribute to vascular health. Copper in particular serves as a cofactor for lysyl oxidase, the enzyme responsible for cross-linking collagen and elastin in blood vessel walls. This cross-linking process gives vessels both their structural strength and their elasticity. Without adequate copper, vessels lose integrity and become more vulnerable to damage. There is one additional property of sesamin that deserves specific attention. Research has demonstrated that sesamin inhibits the enzymes that normally metabolize and eliminate vitamin E from the body, effectively extending the duration of vitamin E activity after consumption. Since vitamin E is the primary fat-soluble antioxidant protecting cell membranes in your blood vessel walls, this extension of its active lifespan has direct positive implications for vascular health. When sesame seeds are consumed alongside vitamin E-rich foods, such as sunflower seeds, the sesamin amplifies and prolongs the protective effect of that vitamin E. Tahini, ground sesame paste, is one of the most convenient ways to incorporate larger amounts into the diet. It works as a spread, a base for dressings, a drizzle over vegetables, or eaten directly. Sunflower seeds are widely available, genuinely affordable, and among the richest dietary sources of vitamin E in any commonly consumed food. A quarter cup of sunflower seeds provides over 80% of the daily recommended intake of vitamin E, specifically in the alpha-tocopherol form, which is the form the body absorbs and utilizes most readily. Vitamin E is the body's primary fat-soluble antioxidant, the compound responsible for protecting cell membranes from oxidative damage throughout the body, including the membranes of the endothelial cells lining your blood vessels. When these membranes are damaged by oxidative stress, endothelial function deteriorates, nitric oxide production declines, and blood vessels become progressively less responsive to the signals telling them to relax and dilate. By maintaining robust antioxidant protection of endothelial cell membranes, the vitamin E from sunflower seeds helps preserve the functional capacity of the cells that are directly responsible for producing nitric oxide and regulating blood flow. Sunflower seeds are also a meaningful source of selenium, a trace mineral essential for the production of glutathione peroxidase, one of the most important antioxidant enzymes in the body's internal defense network. Without adequate selenium, glutathione peroxidase cannot function properly, and oxidative stress accumulates more rapidly in tissues, including the blood vessels. Additionally, sunflower seeds provide phytosterols that support cardiovascular health, healthy monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats that maintain cell membrane fluidity, and pantothenic acid, vitamin B5, which plays a central role in cellular energy metabolism, including in the cells of the heart and vascular tissue. When sunflower seeds and sesame seeds are consumed together, the synergy between sesamin and vitamin E creates a sustained, amplified antioxidant effect that exceeds what either seed could produce independently. And now we arrive at the seed I mentioned at the opening, the one with a mechanism so specific and unusual that most clinicians have never encountered it in formal training. That seed is celery seed. Celery seeds contain a compound called 3N-butylphthalide, a phthalide compound unique to the celery plant family. This compound has been the focus of meaningful research, particularly in Asian cardiovascular medicine, and its effects on blood vessel tone are genuinely unlike anything produced by the other seeds in this program. 3N-butylphthalide relaxes the smooth muscle cells within blood vessel walls through a mechanism involving the regulation of intracellular calcium signaling. But unlike magnesium, which acts broadly as a calcium channel blocker across multiple tissue types, 3N-butylphthalide appears to modulate calcium dynamics specifically within vascular smooth muscle through a targeted pathway that involves prostacyclin production and the suppression of catecholamine-driven vasoconstriction. In practical terms, it helps prevent the blood vessel tightening that occurs when stress hormones, adrenaline and noradrenaline, signal the vessels to constrict. This mechanism matters enormously because one of the most pervasive and underappreciated drivers of poor circulation, particularly in adults over 50, is chronic activation of the sympathetic nervous system. Persistent daily stress keeps sympathetic tone elevated, meaning stress hormones are continuously instructing blood vessels to tighten. Even when nitric oxide production is adequate, these constriction signals can override the body's natural vasodilatory responses, resulting in chronically reduced circulation despite otherwise reasonable cardiovascular health. The 3N-butyl phthalate from celery seeds counteracts this specific pathway, tipping the balance back toward relaxation by directly opposing stress-driven vasoconstriction. Clinical research on celery seed extract has documented measurable reductions in blood pressure and improvements in blood flow markers. The compound has also demonstrated anti-inflammatory activity in vascular tissue and shows protective effects against oxidative damage to endothelial cells. Celery seeds can be used as a culinary spice added to soups, stews, dressings, and roasted vegetables. Steeped in hot water for 10 to 15 minutes, they produce a mild, slightly herbaceous tea that can be consumed once or twice daily. Concentrated extracts are also available for those seeking more precise dosing. Let me bring this together and explain why a combined approach using several of these seeds is substantially more powerful than relying on any single one. Each seed addresses vascular health through a different primary mechanism. Flaxseed provides alpha-linolenic acid and lignans that reduce vascular inflammation and support endothelial function at the cellular level. Pumpkin seeds deliver magnesium that acts as a natural calcium channel blocker and zinc that protects nitric oxide from oxidative destruction. Watermelon seeds supply citrulline that feeds the nitric oxide production pathway directly by providing the essential substrate for the enzyme that manufactures it. Sesame seeds offer sesamin that fortifies the body's internal antioxidant defenses and extends vitamin E activity. Sunflower seeds provide vitamin E and selenium that protect endothelial membranes and sustain glutathione peroxidase function. And celery seeds contain 3N-butyl phthalate that specifically counteracts stress-driven vasoconstriction through a mechanism entirely distinct from all the others. When several of these seeds are incorporated into your daily routine, you are supporting blood flow from virtually every relevant biological angle simultaneously. You are providing the raw materials for nitric oxide production. You are protecting that nitric oxide from destruction. You are reducing the inflammation that impairs endothelial function. You are moderating the calcium dynamics that drive vessel constriction. You are strengthening the body's internal antioxidant capacity. And you are counteracting the stress-driven signals that can override natural vasodilation. No single seed, no single supplement, and no single pharmaceutical addresses all of these pathways simultaneously. But a thoughtful daily combination of these 6 covers them comprehensively. The practical implementation is both simple and enjoyable. Create a daily seed blend by combining ground flax seed, raw pumpkin seeds, roasted watermelon seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and a small measured amount of ground celery seed. Store the blend in a sealed container in the refrigerator to protect the omega-3 fatty acids in the flaxseed from oxidation. 1 to 2 tablespoons of this blend daily, added to smoothies, scattered over salads, stirred into yogurt, or eaten as a standalone snack, delivers a broad-spectrum array of circulatory support compounds that work synergistically to maintain open, flexible, and responsive blood vessels. A few quality principles worth following. Choose organic seeds when available to minimize pesticide exposure. Purchase seeds that are fresh and properly stored. The healthy fats in seeds become rancid when exposed to prolonged heat, light, and air. Raw or lightly roasted seeds retain more of their bioactive compounds than heavily processed varieties. And above all, consistency is the determining factor in results. These seeds work by gradually shifting your body's underlying biochemistry in a favorable direction. Anti-inflammatory effects accumulate. Antioxidant protection builds. Nitric oxide support becomes more robust as substrate availability and enzyme systems are steadily optimized. This is not a one-time intervention. It is a daily practice, a small, sustainable habit that compounds in its benefits week after week and month after month. If this video gave you something genuinely useful, share it with someone in your life who would benefit from hearing it. I'm Dr. Lauren Hayes. Thank you for being here.